All right, we begin by breathing deeply. As you breathe deeply, you allow yourself to be here now, as Ram Dass used to say, but of course, Ram Dass didn't say it, did he? This is an old adage that the Vedic masters have always known. Now, the idea of being here now, it sounds kind of amazing when, say, a Western professor or a Western somebody says that they might be here now. It's like everybody's oohing and ahhing about being here now. But the reality is, it was easier in the old days, 10,000, 20,000 years ago, to be here now because it was a time when human beings were still connected to their spiritual domain a lot. There was a lot more connected to their spiritual domain. And therefore, the Vedic masters, although it's not that easy to stay connected to that domain during the time of living an earthly material, gravitized life of matter, the reality is being here now doesn't mean just be here in this body, not here with your thoughts, not here. It means be here, here in all that is. So, as you breathe deeply now, we want you to become aware that you're not trying to imagine what now is. You're literally allowing yourself to dissolve some of the idea you think of yourself so you are here now. And to do this, you kind of have to be in right relationship with the body. You have to let the body know that you are aware that it is a template, a temple. It is a materialized form of consciousness. In the materialization of the consciousness of the energy of the universe, indeed, you have the great experience and the great burden to experience individuality and separation of the now, if you choose. Now, because in the last 12,000 years, there has been a intensification of the materialization of the individuation, and therefore many people have forgotten that the now is here. Those of you who are sitting here today, those of you who are listening to this, you know within yourself there is a receptacle that has full, clear, conscious memory and understanding of all that is. Now, when you think of being a memory of all that is, it seems like it's a long, long away. And when we say you have a memory of it, it's only because in the lower mental form of the brain matter, the memory means me, more, my. So you hold your memories as if they are still individualized, and they are to some degree. As the soul incarnates and leaves, incarnates and leaves, and incarnates and leaves, it feels very specific to you because it is specific to the solar energy that you are. Now, this work today is about being willing to be the solar consciousness that you are. Certainly, when it is your time to ask your questions for those who are here in person, you will feel that you are the person asking the question. You will feel that the answer or the response is coming to you in an individualized way. But we assure you, what we will share with each of you today is coming from the solar consciousness that you are. Now, why is that how we're doing this today? Because it is time to activate as fully as you possibly can to your solar awareness. Now, again, you might say, I don't know my soul, but each of you do, and you all know that you do. But it's very convenient to think you can tuck the soul away and only have it when you meditate or go to church or read something metaphysical. But the soul is ever present, and it is the pathway to be here now. Before we begin with the alignment meditation, we are giving you this understanding, because the idea of being solar doesn't mean that you're creating yourself being solar. It means that you're not attached to the individual materialization of the identification of the individuality that talks and walks with the name and genetic code that you are, is not ruling your perception. Now, we do understand that is difficult for egos. Egos like to feel in control of the perception, but it is about like trying to get the galaxy through your keychain for your car. You can, because the truth is, the keychain, everything in creation that is of organic nature is a creation of the solar energy. The soul that you are has manifested individuality. It has manifested materialized matter to allow you the opportunity to walk, talk, breathe, and pretend that you are individual. In the individuality now, this is why we are focusing on the topic this month. The individual is part of the old matrix in some way. Now, do not worry. You will not lose your bodies, or some of you will, but you will be aware that as you activate more deeply into your solar consciousness, that you will learn to let the receptacle of the materialized form that has been sent to Earth through conscious intention by your soul, your solar consciousness, that as you become aware of that, there will be a downpouring, a flooding of frequency that is not limited to the individuality that you appear to be. Now, this can be very disturbing for those who are strong identity on the planet with the idea of who they are. It can be very disturbing in the third dimension, because the third dimension is all about me, my I, who I am, what I do, what I've done, what I've lived through. And then if you happen to begin to get involved in the awakening, you begin to know, oh, there's a substance that's higher than this. And then you might have a past life memory, or you might have been here and been given past lives. And even then you can say, look, I have 2 past lives. I have 100 past lives. I was this person. But now, being here now is the willingness to not need the individualized identification. Now, indeed, when we say your solar consciousness, that sounds like it's your soul. It is like a quantum structure of light that is it's the vat of substance that comes with you time and time and time again, so that you can experience time and time and time again things that you have created through your consciousness or through your lack of consciousness. Feelings that have harbored within your consciousness that have not been of love. Deeds and actions that you have committed in the name of the individuality of the human nature and other natures, which some of you have incarnated as. So this is today's work, is to allow yourself, as we do the meditation, to not worry so much about what your lower thoughts are or what you think you're here to ask, but to experience the downpouring of frequency coming from your soul. And as you sit together, it's like if each of you had a big ball of light above your head and it merged. Usually you think about that ball of light above your head and separate, but you are that ball of light. You are a bubble of quantum field. You are an instrument of quantum energy. And then you realize that you can let go the idea of the individuation so you can experience the quantum field. And as you experience the quantum field, you will begin to understand what is really happening on the planet now. Not at the lower realm, but at the higher realm. Your earth is a quantum field. And so this is really for you to have the downpouring of understanding of that frequency. And then we will guide you into the questions and response that you may have from your individuation. But allow yourself in this moment to receive the frequency fully. We will speak to you each about the frequency modulation that is coming to you, about the glandular activity that will be perceiving the frequency modulation, and about the capacity of the neuronic activity of your brain to be able to pull it all the way into the brain, even the lower brain, even the animal brain. And as you make this commitment to yourself, so you will be given what we would say a potency of consciousness to then apply on the pathworks that you individually are called to use, again in alignment with the solar consciousness. So begin by breathing deeply, and as you do, you allow yourself, as you hear these words, to not let the lower mind try to figure it out, because the lower mind in some ways is like using an adding machine to figure out a number that is infinite. It's not possible. So you might say, well, if it's not possible, why are you giving us this? We are giving you this because you are in a quantum field. The quantum field is coming into the density of the individualization of the life force. And those of you that are capable, that have built on a soul level the capacity to carry the frequency, are bringing it to the form now so that you can indeed not only uplift your life, your choices, your thoughts, your actions, but that you can also be a kind of receptacle and as well a transmitter of the quantum field, so that more and more your pathways will be cleared by the magnetics of the quantum field, so that you can indeed, the word ascend is used a lot, but that you can raise your consciousness and hold the raise consciousness in the density of the physical form that walks the earth. It is no good now simply to meditate 20 minutes a day and go, I'm done, I'm going into the earth now, and I'm just going to be all that I've always been. It is now time to say, I have been assigned as a frequency modulation device by the soul that I am, and I embody the frequency of the solar consciousness to assist those who are ready to raise frequency. Breathing deeply now into the physical form, and allow yourself, as you feel the physical form, yes, indeed, it is an amalgamation of cells and blood and guts and intestines and bones and all of these things, and it's quite a marvelous creation. It's a materialization of consciousness. The materialization of consciousness has been given to you. Again, as you all know, you are a genetic code. As you all know, you came into a template of a code, a DNA code, which is very much what DNA now. It's a sequence of frequency. That frequency, because of genetic nature, is coded within the physical form, and therefore you still have that code. But the super consciousness that we are speaking to you about, the solar consciousness that we are speaking to you about, that consciousness is not limited to that code. So, this is why we're doing the meditation today, so you can bring the higher code, which is your solar code, which has materialized many, many times. If some of you knew how many times you've been materialized in some form or another, you wouldn't take this form so seriously. We're not saying not to love this form. We're saying to be more than the genetic code of this form, which was in itself like a textbook for your learning. That textbook, through your commitment to align to the solar codes that are flooding you now in this meditation, and the galactic codes that are flooding the earth, through the commitment to allow that pipeline of downpouring frequency to move through you, you truly will become free to love. You truly will begin to understand, though the density of which is on this planet and appears to be so intense and oppressive, the downpouring and activation of consciousness that is coming is so very uplifting, so full of promise, so full of love and creative power, the capacity to use the quantum field to create new thoughts, new ideas, new earth. Breathing into your body now, and as you breathe into the body, allow yourself to understand from the top of your head, the crown, all the way down to the perineum, between the testes and the anus for the men, the vaginal opening and the anus for the women. As you see that beam of light, that often becomes the doorway, the portal that you see, but we want you simply to see it like a capacitor that allows focused energy to come into you. And we want you to visualize this idea of you being a quantum field. Quantum field is not individualized. Quantum field includes and the encodements for everything. That is what now is. It's a quantum coded field. So allow yourself, if you will, to see yourself now in a large ball of a white light network. Again, it is very much like the Epcot Center, very much like what you would call the pyramid after pyramid after pyramid, very geometric in form. And allow yourself for a moment to see that geometry of form, which is not identified as your individuality, but is a solar quantum energy. And just allow yourself for the moment to sit in that field of beautiful white light geometry. As you say to yourself, I lift my consciousness to perceive the subtlety and the power of the quantum code that my soul is giving me now. Breathing deeply, long and deep breaths. You just see this beautiful filigree geometry of light. And you might have seen times on the planet when they go, wow, look at the sun reflected on the Amazon River. We want you to see now that this quantum field is radiating outward to your Antakarana, to your more subtle energy bodies that are very much attached to the individual that you are, your etheric energy, your astral energy, your lower mental energy, your emotional energy, and your physical energy. But you don't focus on those aspects. You focus on being the quantum particle that your soul is giving you now as a transmitter. This idea of having this white multiplicity of geometry that you are, feeling that, perceiving that, being at one with it, allows you to get out of the way so that frequency begins to resonate all the lower fields of you, your etheric body, your physical body, your mental body, and your emotional body. So now it's not you reaching out, it's the quantum field coming in. And you are the quantum field, and you are very capable of being it, receiving it, perceiving it. And once you do, you are linked to all that is. Do not be frightened of the linking that you're beginning to feel, in which you can feel the spaciousness of this vehicle of light. It's not only your individual light body, it is a quantum particle that you are agreeing to not just hold the idea of your individuality, but to become the quantum field of energy. And in that quantum field, you begin to understand it doesn't mutate you, but as you begin to perceive that field of energy, you are very capable of not holding your consciousness in the genetic code or the emotional energies or the mental energy. You're very capable of experience the frequency of creative power. Because the quantum field, whether that which you perceive around your body, is the same field that the entire universe is made of. And for a moment, you just let yourself breathe into that field, not worrying about your mind or your thoughts or your feelings, but feeling the freedom of knowing the electrical pulse of creation, in which all impediments no longer exist. No impediments of thought, of identification. As you begin to feel this, you begin to understand that your galaxy is made of the quantum field. And you might begin to feel that indeed you are becoming the spiral galaxy that you are within, breathing deeply. Again, no fear is needed. You're not losing anything. You're literally perceiving yourself. Not the lower self of the genetic code, but the creative self of solar light. So let yourself spiral upward into the larger quantum field. Again, every cell of your body is capable of receiving the quantum field. And as you begin to perceive that, you allow yourself to say, I open my mental body. I resonate the quantum consciousness through the higher mind, so that that consciousness can rework and restabilize the neuronic activity of the lower brain in such a way that I can carry this enlightened field in the physical form. And literally, it's like you see a docking station, like a small little capsule that has gone into space is linking, docking with the larger consciousness that you are. It doesn't mean you will not have your individuality. It means that now you want to lift the frequency to the larger field of consciousness. You want the body to begin to frequency modulate, to carry these higher ideas that are not just limited to the duality or the polarity of this earth that demonstrates at some level. Again, it's just for this moment, so you become aware that you are this quantum field, and therefore you are not limited to the lower thoughts. And as you feel that spiraling upward, you begin to understand that this spiraling upward is capable of modifying your DNA. Now, there's much talk on the planet now about DNA, RNA being transformed. We're not talking about that kind of transformation. We're talking about the quantum field coming through your consciousness, through your soul, so that you are an integrated circuit. And you're not limited to the stories that this particular individuation has had to work through. You still have the individuation, but you have the capacity to be the consciousness that is solar. So you allow yourself to feel your brain neurons, the synapses carrying this kind of pure white light. You're letting your brain know it's going to kind of transcend its normal consciousness. It's going to transcend even the animal nature that your mammal body is, because it's going to be stranded with quantum frequency and awareness. And as you do this, you can feel yourself becoming much more subtle. You can feel yourself kind of being given the cloak, not the cloak to put out your fire, but the cloak that has been woven over many, many lifetimes by your soul, that includes the pathways out of the bind of duality. As you do this, if you will, you allow yourself to say, I open my emotional body. I let joy come through my emotional body and my mental body. I understand joy is not a feeling, but a higher frequency. I reweave my DNA with this higher frequency of joy, and I send it out through my cellular matrix. Set the old cells may shed the impediments that have kept me bound to the genetic code. As you do this now, you allow yourself to say, I open my etheric body. I understand it has within it all the capacitors I need to transform myself into the higher frequency solar self, even while staying in a physical form. And now you allow yourself to say, I open my physical body. I understand I have higher apparatus already encoded at a solar level that will allow me to mutate upward in frequency with no loss of understanding of who I am, but a complete gain of understanding who I really am. You are not only a genetic code, you are a solar code, you are a galactic code, you are a quantum field. We're going to do a harmonic now. Breathing now, understanding the quantum field is your currency. Understanding the quantum field has within it for you as you raise your consciousness and allow the transmutation of the vehicle that you are to merge with the higher vehicle that you are. You're not creating it with your mind. You're simply telling your lower mind not to block you from it. Then you will begin to see it is from all of that quantum field that all materialization actually happens. And indeed, it is how you can create the higher principles, the newer energies that are flooding the earth now, so that you are not necessarily trying to take a wrench and tighten a bolt on a bicycle wheel when you are perfectly capable of bilocation, of visiting many realms of consciousness through the quantum field to give you the answers, to give you the understanding, to give you the power, not in any way to be used in selfish intention, and not in any way to be used as an over-identified egoic form, but as a transducer that brings the full awareness that you are much, much more than your physical body, your emotional body, your mental body, and even your etheric body. You all have pets and you know they have consciousness, but they still don't have higher choices sometimes. Some of the pets are higher than most humans. But then you've evolved in consciousness, but you have an impediment of a genetic code, a gifted genetic code, but an impediment. The impediment has within it the participation of your own solar evolution. As you line up to the understanding of this, so a quality of energy will be given to you, sometimes in your sleep, sometimes when you see a pet, sometimes when you see a flower. The quality of energy will begin to weave through the lower vehicle. So indeed you are able to bring down that consciousness through the receptacle and start using your physicality to weave it into the lower dimension as a stabilization force during the decimation of the old world. Breathing deeply. When you're ready, open your eyes and we will go around and everyone speak something about your meditation, whatever it is, before we begin with your questions. Starting with Jenny.
Great. I always like to start. That's fantastic. You picked that up. The quantum field has been intriguing me lately. That word just keeps coming to me, quantum. So I've just left it there and coming here today, and you gifting us with this meditation around the quantum field.
The veils are lifting. That is all that's happening on your planet. The veils are lifting. So you get to choose